Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction and recovery. Join your hosts,
the Podfather, Jersey Ed,
Miss Meg,
as they break the silence and speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery, the recovery podcast for people in recovery.
Wow, very good. I like
it.
that. I like that, Podfather.
Hey, I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
I'm Jersey Ed.
I am Miss Meg.
Miss Meg, how you
We're
doing?
here. What's up, guys?
Yep.
I'm Chris Cudahy.
Chris, no nickname for Chris.
From across the pond.
From across the pond. Chris has been doing a couple shows with us. We're all crowded in here and having a little bit of fun. And how's everybody doing?
I'm living the dream.
Yeah.
I'm here with you
Living
guys.
the dream. Yeah,
I'm on top of the mountain right now
That's
as we
right.
speak.
That's right. There's no more room. This is it. This is all the room on the top of the mountain for us. Well, Sweets is here too, so we made room for him.
I am.
Hey, Sweets.
I'm
Gotta
always
make room
here.
for sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Lurking in the background.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a creep.
I'm a creeper.
He's
What
one
is-
of those guys that stand in the back of the room in the
Yeah.
meetings.
I'm just staring at you.
are you wearing a kilt or is that a mini skirt? What is
This is, well, all right.
mini kilt.
So since I make these all myself, I took a kilt and I turned it into a skirt.
It's
Oh,
hot. Stand
many
up.
pleats
Stand
are
up
in
for
Really
us.
short.
Very
Where'd
nice.
you get that? Where'd you
Wow,
get that
turn
big
around
brass
now.
pin?
How
We're
many
gonna have to do
pleats
the
are in that?
we're gonna have to do the Catholic school rule on you. I want the
Ooh.
measurement from your fingertips. Does it hit
It's-
your
There
knees?
you
It's high.
go.
It's
It's high.
I have long thighs.
You got great legs, man. Let me tell you. And those pink knee highs.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have athletic legs.
Yes, you do.
You're very athletic.
What are you doing after the show? Want to hit the couch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go do some squats and some hip thrusts and just some weird stuff.
I'm heading back to Long Island now, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear this to the gym.
Nice.
Yeah.
You'll get all the guys.
Nobody
looking.
says anything.
No,
I dress like this at the gym all the time. Nobody says anything.
Listen,
nobody probably talks to you.
Listen.
Yeah, no.
Guys are dogs. Think about it. So I was
Yeah.
watching American Dad yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And I don't if anybody knows about American Dad. Steve is the son.
Yeah.
So so Stan gave him a pill from the CIA, and he was supposed to get muscles.
Yeah.
He grew boobs instead.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
And all the guys were like, because he wasn't the popular, Steve's not the popular guy, and all the guys were taking him out, wanting him to go into the pool. I mean, he had like big jugs, and it was like, I was like, yeah, that's a typical guy, man. We don't care what's attached to it.
Yeah.
That's the Jim Carrey episode, right? Did anybody see the episodes where one of the characters gets medical treatment and gets breasts?
Was this the Mad TV with Jim Carrey on?
Jim
it?
Carrey,
Yeah,
with his TV show.
Yeah.
Was it Jim Carrey, I think?
I
It
don't
was.
know.
I'm
don't
sure it
know.
was. It was one of those.
He just
it was-
agreed with it.
It was really bad.
Yes.
It was bad.
That one.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Well, listen, guys. I think what you should do at this point, after
Yeah.
listening to all this, give us a call.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us if you agree with us or not. Because we have a new number. We have a new
Mm-hmm.
hotline number, guys.
We
We've
do.
given it out before. We should give it out
We
again.
have. Meg, you want to tell us a little about the hotline number?
Absolutely. Call us, leave us a voicemail, leave us a question. We'll read it on the show. The number is 617-379-1163.
That's right.
He's
Call
good
me.
at that.
That's right. And you'll get Meg.
By the
You'll
way,
get me. I'm going to answer.
She will.
And then I'm going to hang up and I'm going to make you call again and leave the voicemail.
Leave the
so we
voice.
can put it on the
That's
show.
right. But you will get her.
Yeah.
By the way,
Don't text her.
No.
That's weird.
Yeah, don't. No.
Not
Yeah,
Jim
please
Carrey.
Don't, please don't. I got enough of those.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey. The Drew
Carey
Carey
was
show.
a J
Yeah,
name,
yeah.
and it was Carey.
See,
Yeah.
somebody one of our viewers would have left us that message.
Yeah.
That's right. They
So
would
you
correct
fucked
us.
it up, Chris.
See, we went from being able to say whatever we want, being the authority, to being challenged and questioned.
That's
by others.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I corrected
The game
it
has
before the
changed,
phone call
guys.
came
That's
in.
right.
Yeah.
That's
The
The
right.
game
phone
is-
call
Good
can
point.
no longer come in.
The game.
Exactly.
Well, no, it can. It can. They can point out your flaws.
Podfather, do you call that number lately, Podfather?
I haven't called that 617 number.
Oh, 617 what?
I don't know. Can't see.
379-1163.
Hey.
Yes, that's the number.
Bang.
Everybody's gonna be like,
Booyah.
I am not calling that number. They gave it out way too much. But hey, listen,
I mean, you're probably going to call it by mistake at this point.
that's
Yeah.
probably what's
Talking
gonna
time.
Be
happen.
dialing mom, and you're going to be
Yeah.
like 617-379-1163. Who did I just call? We're going to get voicemails for, Ma, I'm on my way home.
Can you pick up some
Stop
milk?
fucking texting me, Ma.
Oh my God! Well, guys, we're gonna have a fun show today, and
the home of
uh-oh.
answering the call, ATC, and the Friends in Recovery
We get him.
You get me.
I'm trying to get
That
away.
is what you get.
Yeah. So you're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. If you'd like a little dose of Ed,
That's right. That's
Special
right.
needs
That's
dad.
if you just
There
want
it
to
is.
hear Ed's voice and
That's
you're just
it.
feeling,
That's right.
frisky.
Down.
That's right. Maybe we'll have Meg record
You want to
it
realize
for
how
us.
Oh, yeah, I can do
fortunate
it.
you
Yeah,
are
good,
to speak
good,
English.
good.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Sweets. You
Real
have
quick.
something queued up for me that just
I do.
reminded
I
me
do.
of.
Would you like me to
of
play
that.
it?
Yeah, guys. So, SoberPod, as you guys know, is my second favorite. Well, it should be my third favorite podcast. And
Top five.
Top five. Yeah,
Just do top five.
Okay,
Just
top
top five.
five.
Yeah.
And I love these guys, Carl, Ellen, and Steve. They're great guys, and they gave us and we give them huge plugs all the time, also, because it is my favorite. And I actually get emails from everybody. What's that show that you like? And I've been emailing SoberPod's name out to a lot of people lately. But they gave us, what is it, about 3 minutes, 2 minutes of a plug. So I want you. Can you play that for us?
I can. Would you like me to do it right now?
Yeah, let's take a minute and listen to
let's
this,
bring 'em
or a
in.
couple minutes.
Reminds me,
But wait a minute.
We were talking about
If fixing other people
opioid
gives you a
epidemic.
boner, dead on the list of Kyle's dependency corner.
Friends in recovery. They were
Friends in recovery. Speaking of boners, speaking of getting boners, you should get an ear boner for Friends in Recovery. These guys, actually, I went back and because they gave us a shout out on their show again, like recently. It was honestly, it was the best commercial we've had, like the best marketing. Honestly, like
We're starting.
And he said some very kind things, and I went back and started
Wicked
listening.
tuna.
Wicked fucking boner.
finally getting the accent right.
You guys should be listening to SoberPod. These guys are a couple fucking yahoos out in California. So that's a fucking wicked bonus. And tuna.
Thanks for your wicked bonus.
Thanks for your wicked bonus on the SoberPod there. You're doing great, fellas.
They said we also
Back
messed
to love
up.
addiction.
If
We also messed up the New York accent.
yeah, okay.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Hey,
I didn't mess
I'm
up
from-
no accent. Come on now.
I'm from New York. Who wants to touch me? Is that the New York accent? No, I don't think I got
Terrible.
it. But no, Friends in Recovery. I went and I checked out the very first episode they did about 2 years ago, and the panel that was on it that week. I know there's the Podfather. I don't think he was called the Podfather in the first episode. There was also
Is that Mike?
Jersey Ed. Sweets.
Jersey Eddie, yeah.
And they had I don't know, they didn't have a guest. There was another guy on there. I'm not sure if he's still on the show, but there are a couple. There's the one guy who's there's two licensed. What is it?
Licensed clinical social worker,
workers.
LCSW.
Yeah, one of whom is a retired police officer, so he's going to have some great stories going forward. Actually, and I really appreciated that guy because you could tell he definitely had a passion for helping people and the
Smart guy.
outreach and wanting. The whole show just sounded very genuine, like because I've tried listening to a bunch of recovery shows, and honestly, I can't get past the first couple of minutes because a lot of them just don't hit with me. These guys just sounded. The sincerity really came through, so I enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing
So
more.
how do we find Friends in Recovery?
Friends in Recovery, they're on Apple Podcasts. I think they're on Google Play. They have a YouTube channel or
There's Spotify as well.
Spotify. Check
just-
them out.
yeah.
It's a good show. There's a lot of good
Oh,
information
they're on
up
the
there.
YouTubes as well.
A very large breadth of topics they get into and guests. There was another guest. There was a couple where it was the wife talking about what it was like to be with her husband as his drug addiction, before recovery, the couple dynamic. So, there's a lot of different viewpoints on there too. So
Yeah,
I
I'll
enjoyed
include
it.
Links to their stuff on the show notes if you guys want to go there.
Yeah, we'll include some fucking wicked links.
No bonus.
No fucking bonus in them links. So we will do that. Anyway.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Love
Thanks,
that.
thanks,
Love
SoberPod.
that.
We love you guys. And
Terrible
and-
accents.
Yeah, they are
Well,
terrible
there's Southern
accents.
in there, some
I
Boston.
know.
It
So
was a
they're
medley.
they're all from California. I have no fucking idea how to do a California accent, so I'm
Okay.
not
Is
even
there
gonna
one?
go there. I don't
Dude,
know, man.
surfs up.
Surfs up, dude. I don't
Hang
know.
10, dude.
Yeah, hang 10. Let's eat some taco. What do they call them? I don't know. I don't know what they do out there. So, but
Tacos.
yeah. But SoberPod, we love you guys, and hopefully one day they'll make a commitment to come on our show. I've reached out to them, and they're going to try to make it work, guys. So we're going to try to get a
Don't
little.
stalk him, all right?
Thanks, SoberPod, and you can listen to SoberPod on any podcast catcher. Really great show. If if you don't know how to get them, you can call us.
Call us 617-379-1163.
That's right. Or
Dial it, save it.
What's that number?
Write it down.
Is that SoberPod's number? Or is that Friends in Recovery number?
That's Jersey Ed's direct line.
Yes, you're gonna get Jersey Ed directly.
Send them all
so.
kinds of weird
It'll be like
messages.
That's right. That's
Memes.
right.
heavy
We like
breathing.
memes.
Yes, exactly.
Memes? Memes.
Memes. Yeah, drug
Yes.
memes, recovery memes.
you've
we want
Send
all
them
of it.
all. Send them
Jersey
all.
Ed's hotline.
Meg's gonna get this number next. I'm not gonna. If I get that shit, it's going right to her.
This line is open from 10 to 2 a.m.
We're good for PayPal, Apple Pay,
I'll open some.
Venmo.
Oh my God, mine's not that big.
Donations welcome.
Some heavy breathing. Pass the tissues over here.
Would you like to know what I'm wearing?
Welcome to Ed's ASMR.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
So what does all this have to do with recovery, guys?
Great question.
Nothing,
Everything.
right?
You can have fun in recovery.
There you go.
The
That is
recovery's
it.
Awesome.
That's it. You listen to SoberPod, you listen to Friends in Recovery, and then you get sober. Well, you might go a little crazy, but I hope you get sober.
Wait a minute.
I know after this, I think I might need a drink.
Good Lord. Or a meeting maybe.
Yeah,
so.
something.
But
Some little tune-up.
so guys, so I think today, because we don't have a guest, and it's very rare that we don't have a guest, but I'm gonna call this one Dealer's Choice today. Okay.
Ooh, baby.
And I believe the dealer today should
I'm the resident
be...
dealer.
Oh, you want to call who's going to deal then?
Well, no, I mean you keep bringing up my criminal record. I'm the resident dealer. I imagine.
Raised that up in the last two shows.
That's right.
You keep bringing it up. I got to reference it. That's
There
how they
you
know
go.
me.
What
That's
kind
right.
of record have you got?
I got to play to the stereotype,
This is
right?
true. This is true.
And don't forget, get your pictures in for Sweets, too. We want to know what you think he looks like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you guess.
Yes,
Right?
I want drawings.
Yes,
Yeah.
illustrations. Oh.
Email us your drawings, please.
That's right. That's right.
And,
Look,
I will
Podfather
choose
has
the
a
one.
drawing.
Yeah, show us what do you got? You got
Oh,
to show the
alright.
Want
camera.
to show in the camera?
There it is. There. I like your notes around it.
That's that's what we think Sweets looks like.
When he's dressed up like a pirate. Like a pirate.
So if you guys have any questions, email us a picture of what you think Sweets looks like,
Yeah.
and
Best
I want
guess
to pick the
wins.
winner on that.
yeah, you'll pick the winner.
I want to
Absolutely.
look through these, and I want to pick the one that I.
Okay.
think.
But what does the winner get? That's the question.
Well, you know, we talked about this
Visit the
earlier.
podcast.
I think they can either be a guest on the podcast,
Yeah.
they can call in,
Yep.
and they
Okay.
can talk about
like
that.
whatever they do,
Or they pay all expenses to come here
or yes, or they get a personally all expense paid trip.
by themselves.
Buy those tickets now, folks.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
We will not pay for them.
Yeah,
You will have to pay for
Buy
them.
your own tickets now.
That's right.
and
spend-
maybe a T-shirt.
Maybe a t-shirt. I
Yeah.
give a t-shirt.
Maybe we get
Yeah.
a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe
Get a
they could
t-shirt.
spend the night with Ed in a sleazy motel.
Just answering weird calls.
That's right. All night
Apparently, I'm
long.
doing that
Yeah,
tonight.
you are doing that tonight.
They can answer the phones
Says
for
it all.
us.
man. Says it all.
That's it.
Take
I'm
messages.
not the little spoon.
Exactly. So the dealer's choice, I figured it'd be a pretty cool show to do. And my dealer's choice today is because she's new, and I gave it away because unless Chris is not telling us something, because she's newer to this show, and we love her so much. We don't know much about Miss Meg. And we want to get her views on maybe recovery and whatever else she wants to talk about. So dealer's
Okay.
choice is going to be Miss Meg today.
All right, so I'm the dealer. Is that it? I'm stepping up into this role.
No, Sweets is the
Sweets is
dealer.
the dealer.
But you're
Resident dealer.
resident dealer.
But
You're
I'm
going to be the
stepping in.
dealer for today.
All right, I'm stepping in. All right, so what do you want to know? I got so much to say. What do we do? Yeah.
Uh-oh, let her go.
So
Let her
I-
rip.
all right,
Well,
so-
the countdown to the break is 1:51.
Oh,
Ah,
Jesus
fuck that.
Christ.
Just keep going.
All right. Well, all right. So what do we want to do? I'm going to tell my story, and then I want you guys to ask me questions.
You got a minute and 44 seconds
All
to
right,
tell
I'm
your
going to
story.
power through this. Ready? Okay. Let's settle into this.
You want to
And it got
meditate
worse.
first?
Yeah, we're going to do a little meditation, a little drop into the heart center, if you will. All right. So here's the deal.
That's a yoga term.
It's
I know
well,
that.
so-
By the time we get to your story, all you're going to be able to say is your name, and I'll be back after the break.
all right.
We can
All
have, we
right.
can have 5 minutes onto that clock.
Yeah.
All right, hardcore opioid user. I was bougie when it came to the opioids. I wanted nothing else but the opioids, okay? Now, that doesn't mean I didn't dabble in some other stuff on my way there. But opioids was the love affair. That was it. That was the drug. Now, when I decided that I was going to make the change to actually commit to do something different with my life, I tried meetings and they didn't resonate with me. And I've talked about this before. But the social anxiety for me was the biggest barrier to allow me to connect with the information in those rooms. So I had to get creative about what else I was going to do. Found out about Vivitrol from my drug dealer. Thank you.
Thank you, drug dealer.
And stayed on it for 3.5 years. Now, the reason why I stayed on it for 3.5 years, and I've just publicly sort of started to come out with this information because it's pretty recent, but I was in a 10-year, very toxic relationship with somebody who introduced me to IV drug use. He stayed using while I got clean in my house and in my life, and that went on. So the Vivitrol lasted 3.5 years because it was a safety net that I knew I needed to keep in place because I couldn't get rid of him, truthfully. And I was in a master's program at that point, and I was like, I'm not going to take a chance. I've worked too hard to get here. Let's at least finish the master's program before we lift off this safety net, because we don't know what's going to happen once that shot wears off, and my brain now knows that there's an opportunity to use. So what are we going to do? So I was very thoughtful about that process, and when I decided to come off the Vivitrol 3.5 years in, it was really because the migraines were atrocious. They were just destroying my life. Decided to come off of it, but knew that this was a delicate situation because here I was with this person. Now, for those who have a history of actively using with a romantic partner, you understand the pull here and how toxic that is and how that can manipulate you in ways that you just cannot imagine. And he used that as a tool. So he would provoke me and he would taunt me, and there were things that he would say in ways, and he would try to get me to sort of fall back into that submissive position of turning my power over to that drug. I refused to let it happen, but I knew that I needed some extra help. So the anxiety and depression got really bad after I came off the Vivitrol, and I was desperate. I was like, anti-meds. I've always been anti-pharmaceuticals for me. I just know that that's not the right option. But I was desperate. So got off the Vivitrol, got on Zoloft. Had horrible side effects. Horrible. I'm still dealing with the injury now, years later, because of that. Had to figure out a way to manage the anxiety so I could carry on with my life, make presentations in school, move forward in my career, but without these meds. So what was I going to do? I heard about CBD oil. Started checking out the CBD oil, looking up the research. Came across Yasmin Hurd's research at Mount Sinai in New York about how CBD is rerouting the opioid cravings in the brain. So that sparked my interest. Then I start hearing about people that terminated all opioid use as a result of introducing cannabis. Now, I never did the abstinence-based approach, so I didn't have really people telling me that that wasn't the right move. And I knew that at this point, I had used my intuition to guide my recovery up until this point, so I was willing to trust it. And that's when I started to explore what THC does. Now, THC is more effective for migraines. Okay, so if I didn't think that was a threat because I never had a problem with that substance, and that is how I conceptualize my drug addiction, is that there is no such thing as a drug to me. That's my story. I don't have the same reaction to, let's say, cannabis as I did opioids. Totally different equation here. I think people find that hard to wrap their head around, especially people that have had problems with all kinds of substances. But for me, that wasn't a part of the story. Now, I will say, I also have really massive built up resentment to the pharmaceutical companies and to the medical model for pushing everybody in a position where we feel like our hands are tied, that our only options to find any sort of relief is through the use of pharmaceuticals. So this was a multi-pronged approach, my passion for opening up people's minds to the ideas of cannabis and its therapeutic properties. It really is my big fuck you to Big Pharma. And I hang on to that. And it's also sort of the other side of the spectrum for these hardcore Suboxone and methadone pushers that I think create a problem when we tell people that they need to be on lifelong medications that pose all sorts of risks that are operating in the brain the same way the opioids did when we were actively using. I have a problem with that too. And so I fall in the middle here of being somebody who I feel is, at this point in my life, I use the term recovered from opioid addiction. My life changed. I came off all of the pharmaceuticals with the CBD oil, started getting passionate about that, then decided I was going to do my own study on cannabis as an exit drug for those addicted to opioids, because cannabis then played a role in my life. After the Vivitrol, vulnerable point, active user in the house. I was literally coming home as he was nodded out on the couch, finding loaded syringes with Perk 30s in the syringe, nobody around, and I'm walking to the sink to discharge the syringe in the sink, and I knew that I was on solid ground when I had those temptations around me. That was from the Vivitrol, that was from the CBD, and that was from the cannabis. So for me, that plant literally saved my life. The Vivitrol saved my life. The CBD saved my life. looking into 5-HTP as a replacement for the Zoloft to manage the serotonin in my brain in an all-natural way, changed my life. These are all the ingredients that actually put the recipe together that actually got me on my path. Now, I'm not saying that cannabis is the exit drug for everybody, but we have to get curious enough to want to know from the people that are living a thriving life what the hell it is doing and why it's playing the role that it's playing. Now, the other side to the coin is I work with people who are depressed, not able to function, and not able to get out of their room because of weed, because of the dabbing, to be honest with you, not the flower. That's how I see it, just in my experiences. But, so yeah. So cannabis now plays a role in my life where I can choose to use it if I want to. I use it medically. So then I talked about this on the Addictionary podcast. Look up Stacy Gruber's research on the difference between recreational and medical use. It's significant. It's more than we can unpack right now. It's very different. And so there's the intention behind it. What is the relationship that you have with the substance? That's what we have to be looking at. And I think me being 34 and people that are my dad's age that are in their 70s or whatever, that have 20, 30 years of recovery, that have done it the abstinence-based way, amazing. We learn from you. However, we are a different addict. We are looking at a different profile, and we're looking at a different system that needs to be implemented here, because the one-size-fits-all we already know doesn't work. Why? Because we're too different, and there's all of these unknown variables as to why this stuff works for people and who it works for and why and when. And that's the stuff that I'm interested in. And that's why I share my story about it, because I'm 2 years now from being away from being a psychologist, in the process of writing 4 books, got a book deal because the agent knew about my story with Vivitrol and cannabis, and she had a personal connection to that. I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if I wasn't public about these components of my life. So I have to be the one to stand up here and put this out there so people who have the lived experience that I have know that they're not alone. Because guess what? When I was going through this, there wasn't anybody up here talking about a non-abstinence way to do it. And what did that do? That drove me away from meetings. It drove me into isolation, and it kept me sick longer than I needed to be. And so we have to create a platform for people to know that their story matters too, and that recovery is looking different here, but that doesn't mean you have to stay in the shadows. We have to be pulling people out.
Absolutely.
Well, that's powerful. And we can take a break?
No, Mike, you want to?
No, we can take a break.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come back from the break.
Break
Friends in
it.
Recovery. We'll be right back with Miss Meg, Chris, and Jersey Ed.
All right.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery. Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast. We want to thank our sponsor Genesis House for supporting this show, along with individuals in recovery and the people that love them. Friends in Recovery Community of Support holds events across the country sponsored by Genesis House in Palm Springs, Florida, Marlton, New Jersey, Newtown, Connecticut, and Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. The Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast is powered by your likes, follows, subscribes, and shares. And please be sure to do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. And now here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Friends in Recovery podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
I'm Jersey Ed.
No, I am Miss Meg.
Miss Meg.
I'm Chris Cudahy.
Chris.
What's up,
From
Chris?
Across the pond.
That's
Yeah.
right, from across the pond.
I swam
How's
this
Benny
time.
Hill?
Flying is to hell. I'm not getting on a plane.
Benny Hill.
Well, guys, you know what time it is? It's time for
What?
Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week.
Oh, I'm excited.
Drum roll, please.
So Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week is Dr. Wayne Dyer podcast, Hay House Radio. Host is Dr. Wayne Dyer. Discover the wisdom, insight, and of Dr. Wayne Dyer, world-renowned spiritual teacher and foremost authority on how the power of your mind creates your world. So true, man. I think we were talking one of the shows. You know, what you think is what you be. You know, I mean, so this I listen to religiously. Hear lively conversations on how you can move past your fears into love. And I highly recommend this podcast. Did he die or is he still alive?
That's a
Anybody
bad
know
question.
that? I don't
dude.
know.
You've got
I don't
you to do
know.
the research.
Your
Well,
podcast.
you were the research monkey. What happened?
Oh, that's right. I'll research. I think he died for some
Dr.
reason.
Dyer is dead.
Dr. Wayne Dyer is dead, right?
So you can watch the
I don't know.
podcast, but
Question. We should probably know that.
we'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
I just
Stay-
have to say, you sound like
Well,
the
he
guy from-
He died August 29th, 2015.
There you go. I thought he died. So, but
Well, he apparently
But great podcast, nonetheless.
but hit the knowledge on there as well.
Don't get too attached to them, though, because there's not many more.
And I'm waiting for the next episode when it came out. I'm like, this is a good new episode,
You're
man.
going to be waiting.
This is a brutal day.
Hey guys, we're back here. We've been talking about a lot of things on the show, and Miss Meg opened up. Thank you, Miss Meg, for your dealer's choice. And
Hey.
listen, we need more folks out like you. Now, that's not my belief, but I do believe that the younger generation needs to recover, needs to be, whatever that recovery looks like. I remember going to, this is, I would guess, an equivalent, Podfather and you, Chris, and maybe you too, Sweets, going to a meeting, an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and saying, oh, I use cocaine, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. This is not a... Blah, blah. So I'm guessing this is kind of the somewhat the equivalent of that. Real quick here, give us your thoughts on this subject. We're a very diverse panel up here. You can call 617-379-1163 and give us your thoughts. If you agree with it, disagree with it, whatever it is, it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
We're okay with it all.
Right.
We don't all have to agree. Again, I don't agree with Miss Meg's policy, but it's keeping her sober. I'm guessing, Miss Meg, you were not a clinical psychologist or had a master's degree or anything when you're fucking shooting heroin. Am I correct? Okay, I didn't think so.
No.
All right, okay.
So that would be my question. So for the people that get confused by this, which, by the way, I tactfully don't use the word sober because I really do feel like people that are working an abstinence-based program, and I think that requires a different skill set. Like, that's your word. I'm not trying to take anybody's, limelight here. Like, I think we all deserve credit for the work that we've put in. Mine just looks a little bit different. And so I try to come up with sort of creative ways to describe whatever it is that I'm doing here. Integrated harmony, fucking assimilated recovery, like recovered, like whatever the hell.
Like assimilated to recovery.
You like that?
Yeah.
Let me just say this, because I'm blown away by what you just said. It's awesome. I've been a licensed alcohol drug counselor for 20 years. I've worked with hundreds of addicts, and I continue to work with hundreds of addicts. When I leave here today, I'm going to Salem to work at Crossroads with people that are addicted. I'm a recovering drug addict alcoholic, and like Ed said, in the halls of AA in the late 80s, early 90s, when I get up, I'd say, I'm Mike, I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And sometimes I get booed and hissed by old people. Sometimes old people would get up and walk out. I didn't know what was going on. My sponsor told me. He said, hey, they don't like you saying drugs in here, so just say alcoholic. So I appeased them. Yeah. But as a licensed alcohol drug counselor, working with people that have committed suicide, that have overdosed, that have died, and I don't think a lot of us have a lot of success. However, I'll say this. It's so important. I've always felt, because I smoked a lot of weed back in the day, I've always felt that marijuana, now that it's legal in Massachusetts, I've always felt that it has its place, and I really do believe that in lieu of taking heroin or fentanyl or taking marijuana to get you through the day, I'll take the marijuana all day, all night.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has its municipal policies, it's used medicinal policies, it's used for so many different things: upset stomach, headaches, bad periods, on and on we go. But if it's going to save people's lives from overdosing on fentanyl or opioids, I'm all for it. And I'm so glad that you just said what you said. You're so accomplished. You have put your life in such a place where you're going to be helping. You are helping people now, but you're going to help so many more people. And I think 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're going to see a different type of recovery. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in the 12 steps of recovery and stuff, but total abstinence, I can't say it's a good thing, because there's a lot of people that are on psych meds, that are on anti-anxiety meds, that are staying sober, their version of sober. we all have our own version of sober. I don't think sobriety should be just a cut and dry word where you do nothing. You know, you suffer.
That's
suffer.
the worst program. Do nothing. It's a fucking shithole
because
program.
you're not going to get anywhere. Look at all you've accomplished.
Yeah.
And you know, I applaud you and I welcome you in every aspect of recovery.
Appreciate
and
that.
I dare anybody. I'm an old timer, and I dare anybody to take what you just said and try to turn it into something negative.
Yeah.
When in fact it's probably one of the most positive things I've heard in years.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Chris, you're an old timer.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I mean that in a good way. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I've experienced the same thing, which is to walk in and say, I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. And then you get that response. My response back to them is, fuck you. I don't care. I'm not drinking. I'm not getting high. I'm not doing whatever. I'm doing whatever I have to do in order to stay sober.
Yeah.
We have a big section of CrossFit workers right now that are in the program. Now, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
Look at these CrossFitters. I mean, they're really in there. They're in there 2, 4, 6 hours a day. I don't care how you do it. You just get clean. You just get sober. That's really what it's about for me. And what works for you may not work for somebody else.
Yep.
You know, when someone says to me, well, you should only get sober for yourself, what's that mean?
Right.
What does that mean?
Right.
You know, when my missus came into the room and said, something has to change, you've been gone for 3 days, I'm like, I guess I better clean up. They said, well, that's not good enough. You're not doing it for yourself. Of course I'm doing it for myself. I've got wee ones around. I've got the wife. I've got, you know, all of that stuff. So, Meg, your message was so powerful. And, you know, during the break, I was just like, wow, that's so good. Because I think that so many young people come into the rooms now and just feel a dysfunction and disjointed, and they don't feel part of that. They need you to be able to say, look, there are a million different avenues here that we can go through.
And here's the thing, real quick, I just want to say, like, from a harm reduction perspective, yes, we're not going to die from marijuana. We're going to die from opioids, yes. But does it stop there? I mean, in my consciousness work, and I look at the ways in which the medical marijuana actually, how it impacts cognitive capacity, again, back to Stacy Gruber's study, we're talking about increased cognitive capacity. We're talking about a way to step into the observer's state from a meditative perspective. So at times throughout my journey here, I have used cannabis to go deeper into my suffering, not as an escape. See, that's why the intention is so key here, because you can get addicted and use cannabis to exit life too. Do I do that and that's how I use it? No, I use it to actually go into the suffering so I can sit with it and do what some people out here, Dr. Sacco is one of them, writing a book, Cannabis-Assisted Psychotherapy. How are we going to get people to the pain and to the trauma to work through this stuff in a way that's actually more digestible? Well, cannabis is one of those tools.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask, is that you don't hang out you know, and smoke pot and, you know, sit at the, you know, sit in your, well, cannabis, you know, pot, whatever.
That stuff.
That stuff.
The wacky weed.
But you use it for medical purposes only, and there's people out there like, medical purposes, because everybody gets their medical card and they go fucking smoke tons of pot to escape life. You don't do that. That's not part of your MO.
Yeah, that's not the intention behind it. Now, are you gonna have an experience as a result of the THC that's gonna alter you in some way? Yeah, it's an altered state of consciousness, but is that wrong depending on what you plan to do with it?
But isn't meditation?
That's the key.
Alter it? Doesn't
That's
psychotherapy does it?
That's the key. We can use meditation to check out. If you're going to use the meditation to go deeper into the suffering, you're not checking out.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
I think that we just have to stop being critical of the stuff that we don't understand.
Yeah.
I think we have to embrace it.
Oh, we think we understand, because we used to smoke a bag of weed with sticks and seeds, and it'd be cracking and popping, and you'd get a buzz for about 40 minutes. Nowadays, this weed is so strong, it's so powerful, but it does have its place in medical. Any doctor, I think any doctor worth his salt or her salt is going to tell you it definitely, cannabis has its place. It's always had its place.
Yeah, it has.
For anxiety, for panic, excuse me, definitely. If it can help that, it certainly can help addiction. And you know, Vivitrol, what's the what is it? Suboxone, Subutex, all those medications have saved countless lives.
Yes.
There's a Dr. O'Connell, O'Connell. He's out of Chelmsford and out of Woburn. He used to be an obstetrician. He's delivered.
That's my doctor, Dr. O'Connor.
He's my man.
Oh, that's my homie. He was on the Addictionary podcast. He saved my life.
Yeah, and you know what? He saved a lot of people's lives.
He has.
People's lives that are near and dear to me too. And he is without a doubt a pioneer.
Absolutely.
Because he left his obstetrician practice where he was delivering thousands of children, made tons of dough because he had a personal issue with this, and he went and he not just talked about it, rolled up his sleeves, got his training, and now he's saving lives.
That's
wow,
right.
that's amazing. Sweets, what's your take on all this? You're sitting back and taking all this in. I see you thinking over there. He's rolling a blunt.
I have some of that. I'm gonna do the pot. The pot. Do the pot.
Hey, don't bogart that. All right?
Listen, the bottom line is just don't die. You know what I mean? That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
So when everybody's trying to get well and everybody's trying to recover and everyone's trying to define recovery and addiction and sobriety and everyone's fighting over the words and the terminology, the bottom line is just don't die.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at. So I mean, me personally, in order for me not to die, I have to abstain.
Yes.
You know, I get caught
100%,
up in everything that I do, and so if somebody asks for my definition of my recovery, I define it as abstinence so I don't die.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you use the word recipe, and I like that because it's whatever recipe you have to put together so that you don't die.
Right.
Exactly.
And if that's what works for you and you don't die, you're winning.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's more to not just dying. There's being successful in life and
living.
Meg, and living. And
But
you're
not
a
dying,
perfect
that's the
example.
foundation.
That's the
Yeah.
foundation.
That's the beginning.
So if you start with just don't die,
and then you
build
build your
from that.
foundation
Build
up
from
there. Yeah.
but
If
if
you die,
you
you're not going to have much of a future.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
right, that's what I'm saying.
As
So
Clint Eastwood said, there's no future in dying.
there isn't. No, bad business.
Unless you're a
business
Buddhist.
dying.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. But if we're talking spirituality,
Yeah.
we got something else there.
Yeah, but it's again, we all. I'm looking around. Sweets has his high heel pumps on over there.
Oh,
I
he
have
looks good today,
I have a
doesn't he?
pair of dress shoes.
Is that an anklet? I love that anklet.
It's beautiful.
It is actually.
I didn't realize he had a thigh tattoo. By the
I
way,
didn't
but I'm
either,
gonna,
but we all don't wear
Barbed
the
wire
same.
thigh tattoo.
But we all don't wear the same shoes. We don't all wear the same clothes, and it's okay, as long as we're successful. And I like that. As long as we don't die and we're successful, and we keep furthering and bettering ourselves in our lives. And again, my program is abstinence, and I also have to say this: Genesis House is all about abstinence. Also, this is by no means is this any reflection, or does Genesis House have any opinions on this? Our opinion is end of story, abstinence. That is it. But as far as this show goes, we'll listen to other opinions, and if it's working for you and it's okay, why not? Why not do it? We don't want to lose any more young kids. You know
what they should do is they should call us.
They should call us.
And they should
What's
tell
the
us
number?
about it.
Yeah.
What's that number, Meg?
Oh, that number is
because you're going to get a bunch of calls on this one.
I'm going to take them, you guys, because I get it. I recognize that my story triggers fear in people that must remain abstinent in order to live. I
And that's
represent
fine.
death.
Right. And they don't have to pick up cannabis or CBD.
No,
or,
but don't I have a right to live too?
You certainly do.
So that's the
You
question,
certainly
and
do.
let the evidence speak for itself. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm
What's the
doing
number?
pretty fucking well.
What's the goddamn number?
Riding high, woman.
617-379-1163. Call me.
Call her.
And I'd just like to say the one commonality between the 5 people in this room, we're all alive.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we're all alive and doing very well, actually. Each one
Some of us have
are.
hair.
Yeah, some of us do have
That's a
hair.
good point.
One of us has hair.
But we don't know what
Two of
Sweets
us.
looks like.
There is a piece missing in the back.
Push these back a little bit.
Well, we want to know what Sweets looks
Hey,
like.
I do.
We
I-
do. Send
I
in
knew
your
a-
pictures.
That's right. Send pictures in of Sweets.
I knew
Email
a cop
us.
who had a daughter who went to school in Boston. And her first week there, he told her, listen, don't go to the Boston Common to buy weed. You're going to get ripped off. You might get stabbed. There's bad people there. Well, she's a teenager. She's 18. She's a freshman in college. So what does she do? She goes to the Boston Common. What happens? What her
gets ripped
father
off.
said was going to happen, right? She gets threatened, knife, flashed in her face. So this guy, for the next 2 years, would get weed once a week, make the trip into Boston. Here you go, sweetheart. It's all yours. Don't buy it. Right. Now, people might say, that's fucking awful. He was a cop. Oh, it's up. Hey, don't die. We want to get our kids from A to Z.
Yeah.
You could say, well, tell her to stop smoking. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
All right? It's not going to happen. Just like any addict out there that wants to put down drugs or alcohol, and they come to me and they're looking for some advice, I show them what I did. But if I had someone like Meg to call up and say, hey, could you talk to this girl, to this boy, and you'd do it, they'd go speak to you, and if that's the need, to me that's good, because any parent that's lost a loved one, anybody who's lost a loved one to opiate addiction, opiate fentanyl, they'd gladly swap any anything they could to have that person back.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, I can't say countless times I called Meg up or texted her and asked her for different advice or different programs. What do you think of this, or where should we send this person? And she would answer just like a person in abstinence recovery would, because that's how, you know, she's not out to prove this is how life should be.
Yeah.
This is how her life should be.
Right.
Yep.
But if we're looking for something, or if we're collaborating on something, or we're talking about something, she gives the right answer to the right person.
That's right.
Not what's going to benefit her, or not what's going to benefit her study or whatever. It's what's for that person. And I believe that's what this is all about, is what is right for the person we're working with.
Absolutely.
And again, you know, it's for me, it's abstinence, but that's okay, whatever your beliefs are.
And I think that's the key, is like, if we could figure out as a system here in the addiction industry who's the right fit for what. I mean, how many times am I recommending 25 different avenues for somebody, abstinence included? So I'm like, let's put all the options on the table and let's sort through this and figure this out. How ready are you? Where are you at? What factors? Yeah, it's one option.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one
And
option
a
in the
good
toolbox.
option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think we'd get a lot more people into recovery if they had an option where they knew that they did not, especially young adults. You tell them their life's over before they're 21, that they can't drink or do anything.
Yeah.
You know what? The hearing just shuts down. They don't want to hear another goddamn word out of your mouth, because their life is over as they know it.
Yeah, but also this is not a go-ahead sign to go ahead and use pot and use it recreationally.
No, because I also see it used wrong a million times.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep. So
But
it's
we're talking recovery here. We're talking life or death, I think.
and that's what the show is about, recovery. I like that. Thanks, Podfather. It's
Thank
about
you.
recovery.
Thank you,
You know something, Podfather,
I
down
know
there.
a few things.
But this show
I
is
smoke
about
cigars and I know things.
That's right.
have
And
a
don't talk into
t-shirt.
the microphone.
I have a T-shirt that says that.
Whoa, Podfather, you just joined us.
I'm back.
welcome to the show, Podfather.
Jumped
Hey,
in.
I'm old. The
He
Podfather.
leaned right into his mic.
The Podfather has a birthday coming up.
Yes, he does. We're gonna have a
Whoa.
birthday show
88
for
years
the
old. 88.
So you know what would be really nice is if somebody called in and sang you happy
Oh,
birthday
I would
Wow.
love that.
on
Yes.
the voice.
And
I
what
would love
would the
that.
number be that they called in on?
I believe
they-
it's 617-379-1163.
That is it. Oh, sweet. Good job, sweet.
I don't have it. I don't have it
No,
written down in
no.
front of me.
Maybe you
Skills,
could call in
sweet
and sing
skills.
happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
I could.
Possible.
I'm not
In
saying
your
I
best
will,
Marilyn
but I could.
Monroe.
You
That's
could
it.
wear that
Yeah,
white
yeah.
Marilyn Monroe number.
Birthday to you.
I'll bring the fan, okay?
You're gonna
So-
wear the pumps. You're gonna wear the pumps
I'm
and the
gonna
white
sing
dress.
just like what I'm wearing right now. Sexy as hell.
Well, let me ask you this, Sweets. So when we have this contest and we get all these pictures of you,
Yeah.
okay, when you pick the winner, we're not picking the winner. When you pick the winner, would you reveal yourself to us?
Not unless we get
No.
another camera.
Whoa, we want another camera for that.
No.
Donation.
The world
No.
is not ready.
No,
No,
For the sweet.
for that. The world is not
Listen,
ready for
listen,
that.
You know, when you meet your idols,
Yeah.
oftentimes
Yeah.
you're let
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
I think I'm just gonna let everyone feel how they feel about me.
That's right.
All 3'6"
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah. And 32 pounds.
Just take. I think
322
I'm a
pounds.
better person in your mind than I really am.
That's
No, not at all.
So you guys were having fun. This is what recovery or recovered is about, having
right.
fun and
So
growing.
how can everybody join in and have fun with us? Let's see. So they can go on Facebook,
Yep.
right, and they can look up Friends in Recovery Podcast. They can like the Facebook page.
Yep.
They can share these episodes as they come out.
Yep.
Right. They can go on to the Google.
Yep.
Onto the YouTube.
The Google.
The
Google, the YouTube.
And they can type in Friends in Recovery
Right.
Podcast
Yes.
into the YouTube,
Yes.
and the YouTube will give you back our videos.
Yes.
Isn't that a good deal?
Yeah.
You
That's it.
type it in and
Crazy
it
how
just
that
gives
works.
it to you.
You know
right?
what?
So it's
It's a
free.
gift.
You know what that is?
Free. Everybody loves free. It's free. You
Yes.
just type it in and you get free videos
That's right.
of these folks.
That's right.
And you get to see what you're listening to.
Right.
Yes.
And
And you
then-
know what that is? That's a wicked fucking boner.
Look at Bona. To our friends out at the what is it called?
Sober pod.
Sober
Wicked
pod.
fucking boner.
Hey, dude.
And then they can subscribe,
Yep.
and then they can turn on notifications, and then they can play the red dot game with us.
The red dot game.
Right.
Yes,
Red
we
dot
all
game
we
is
all
fun.
found out we all play
That
the
red dot
game.
game gives me a boner.
and a
Scary
headache.
thought.
Sorry, Meg.
And a headache. Headaches and bonus.
That's what happens
Are
when
you
you're
playing the game
88
right
years
now,
old.
though,
You get
Podfather?
boners.
I'm not playing it now.
Over red dots. I mean, shit.
You want to move a little bit closer over here?
I had a friend growing up. That was his nickname, Boner, and his mother was she was a teacher. Don't call Hank Boner. That's his nickname.
Hi, Hank.
Hey, Hank. What were you gonna say, Sweets? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then if they watch any of those videos after playing the Red Dot game, and it alerts them to all these amazing episodes, and they jump on and they hear something that really gets them excited, or if they hear something that confuses them, or if they want to ask a question, then they just call. Can we all do this together?
Yeah.
Whoa,
You ready?
Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
6.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We got to count down.
In harmony, guys.
Yeah, in
We're on
harmony.
here.
Ready?
617-379-1163.
Call it now.
Hey.
Call us. Friends in Recovery Podcast. Wicked Boner.
Stay sober, everybody.
That concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for supporting those on the path to recovery and for keeping this valuable resource free for our Friends in Recovery community. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. If you can't get enough of Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, you can catch them on Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast, available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube.